Hi guys, let me just turn up the volume. Just coming on here for a little Wisdom Wednesday pep talk. And for some reason I'm nervous about this one, but I really felt, I don't know what I'm wearing here. I really felt called to bring this up because I think that this is something that a lot of us entrepreneurs deal with. So if something happened in the past that wasn't favorable, made you feel like shit, that, that you can't get over, right? Whether it could have been a failure, it could have been whatever. I think a lot of us let that holds us back. I think, past events makes us feel like, okay, well, this happened, so obviously I can't move forward. This is something that that's going to hold me back. And whether you consciously or you subconsciously believe that, past events just have a way of holding their grip on you, right? But I want you to ask yourself a question, and whether it's, reaching out to get new clients, whether it's public speaking, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's adding a service, whether it's doing something that really freaking scares you, I want you to ask, just because it happened in the past, why should it happen in the future? And I want you to ask that question because just because something has happened doesn't mean that it's going to happen again, or doesn't mean that there's this law that it has to happen. In fact, there isn't a law that says that it has to happen again. In fact, the law is, if you look at the law of nature, that things are going, that, the law of nature is growth, continued expansion, continued growth, continued beauty. And so it doesn't make sense to think that just because you've been a certain way, or just because something has happened, or just because your life was a certain way in the past, it means that you don't change and you can't change. I remember having this debate with my dad, who was a probation officer and social worker. And, I loved my dad. I loved him so much. And, I almost followed in his footsteps and became a social worker myself. But, one of the things he would say that really bothered me was, well, it's often difficult for people to change. And to this day, that statement makes me so angry because I don't believe it at all. I believe in the law of expansion. I believe that everything that we have reacted to in the past, everything, if we want to change, we make up our own rules. So, thinking about the past, if you want to move forward, forget about anything that has not served you in the past and move forward. Move forward. And this goes back to me saying, focus on your goals. Don't focus on the past. Don't focus so much on the hows. Okay? So I think I was nervous about this video because I'm going to get a little vulnerable for a bit. But I really feel called to share this with you guys. And shit, I just realized my finger was over the mic. So if you can't hear me, I'm so sorry, but my whole message is, just because it's happened in the past, why should it happen again? Past events, they can hold you back. Past beliefs, they can hold you back. Just because you believed in one thing 2 years ago, or just because something happened with business or with with an employer. For example, I was fired, and you know what? I held that belief that I wasn't good enough because I was fired in such a shitty way in my early 20s. And I held that belief that I wasn't good enough for so long, but just because it happened in the past doesn't mean that it has to happen in the future. I always want you to ask yourself this. So back to that. So I would walk around for years. My mantra was, it has to get worse before it gets better. And you know what? In just the last 2 weeks, I realized how much I was holding on to that mantra and how much that mantra was not serving me. Okay, so there's an example. So what I'm talking today is, just because it happened in the past, why should it happen in the future? That includes clients that maybe didn't work out for you, a business that didn't work out for you, a failure as an employee, failure with friendships, failure with relationships. Anything in your life that didn't work out in the past, why do you think it won't work out in the future? Why? Like I said at the beginning of this video, the law of nature is expansion. It's moving forward. It's not going back and thinking, okay, well, you know, I have to stay in the past now. No, that's what keeps you and us from success. And I need to be clear about this. So back to my mantra, you know, it has to get worse before it gets better. And it served me. It helped me in the past. You know, I've had some pretty crappy situations where it helped me. I had scoliosis when I was 14. I had to wear a brace at night. And it helped me through there because I knew that this was just a couple years. It has to get worse before it gets better. Use that mantra for toxic friendships. I used it in an abusive relationship in my 20s. And you know what? I realized it has held me back now because that was the past. Just because it happened in the past doesn't mean that you have to bring it to the future. And I want you to really understand this because I feel like it holds so many people back. Just because you've had shitty things happen in the past, you don't need to bring them into the future. Okay, so I felt really called to share this. Sometimes I feel called to share things and I just, on a whim, just really need to share, like, because we all go through crappy situations, crappy events, things that we bring with us in the future. I think it's human nature to constantly go back and think, oh, well, this happened to me, so it's going to happen to me again. But it's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case. Okay? So next time you're scared to reach out to a potential client, next time you're scared to launch a business, next time you're afraid of getting out there on social media and doing live video and, you know, something happened to you in the past that made that exact action crappy, I want you to ask yourself, just because it happened in the past, why should it happen in the future? So I hope this helps somebody. If you're there, say hi. If not, you can watch the replay. And this is for Wisdom Wednesday. If you have your own wisdom, I would love to hear from you as well. Okay, bye guys. Have a great day.